There are three important stages in the formation of urine. Okay, there are three important stages in the formation of urine. These include glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Glomerular filtration is, just in very brief, you should just know what it is, okay? You should just know what is happening in glomerular filtration. In glomerular filtration, what happens is, in that glomerulus, that means in the Malpighian component, that comprises of the Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus, right? In that, there is filtration of the substance from the blood. That means the glomerulus is present here. The glomerulus is present here, and the Bowman's capsule is here. So from here, this is nothing but blood vessels. So these blood vessels lie very close to the lining of the glomerulus, those podocytes. So they will filter out all the contents. So about 120 ml per minute is the normal glomerular filtration rate. 120 ml per minute is the normal glomerular filtration rate. The next two stages occur in the tubules, that is in the proximal convoluted tubule, the Henle's loop, and the distal convoluted tubule. These comprise reabsorption. Reabsorption is where high threshold substances are completely reabsorbed. Most of the reabsorption occurs in the proximal convoluted tubule. Most of the high threshold substances are reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubule. Then there is some amount of secretion which occurs in the distal convoluted tubule and in the collecting tubules. So here certain low threshold and non-threshold substances get secreted, right? So that is done in the tubular secretion stage. Okay, so three important stages. You have glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Now there is one important concept you should know here, which is the concentration of urine. Concentration of urine. Now the urine has to be concentrated, right? So certain substances have to be added and removed at a period of time. So this is done by two mechanisms which are called the counter current system. The concentration of urine occurs through counter current mechanism. Counter current means what? Counter means opposite direction. Current, flow. So now you can tell me in which part of the nephron do you see fluid moving in opposing directions? That is, one area it's moving down and the other area it's moving up. It has to be a loop, isn't it? So it should be in the Henle's loop, correct? So Henle's loop is the place where the fluid moves in an opposing direction. So what happens here is the concept of counter current mechanism states that this area, this is the loop of Henle. Here, the interstitial fluid which is present here between the loop of Henle is maintained in a concentrated state. It's maintained in a hyperosmolar state. This is so as to facilitate movement of ions within and without the Henle's loop. So movement of ions keeps occurring from the Henle's loop to the interstitial fluid and back in a cyclic manner. This helps to maintain the concentration of the interstitial fluid and the end concentration of the urine. This concept is clear? Yes, because things are moving in an opposing direction, what moves in here, what moves into the interstitial fluid here will move out here and vice versa. So it will be like a cycle. It will be like a cycle here. So ions will keep circulating in a cyclic manner between the blood vessels here in the interstitial fluid and the loop of Henle. This is called the counter current mechanism. Okay, counter current mechanism, wherein the concentration of urine and the hyperosmolarity of the interstitial fluid is maintained via the opposing direction of flow of the fluids. This is clear? This much is clear? Counter current mechanism. Now under counter current mechanism you have two components. Under counter current mechanism you have two components. One is called the counter current multiplier and the other is called the counter current exchanger. Counter current exchanger. Counter current multiplier. See, counter current mechanism, once more you asked me, I'll tell you. Counter current mechanism is the mechanism by which the opposing direction of flow of the tubular components helps to maintain the hyperosmolar state of the interstitial fluid. The opposing direction of flow of the tubular fluid maintains the hyperosmolar state of the interstitial fluid so as to maintain the concentration of urine. This is called counter current mechanism. Under this you have counter current multiplier and counter current exchanger. Counter current multiplier is where movement of ions occurs across the Henle's loop and the interstitial fluid in such a manner that the interstitial fluid becomes hyperosmolar. Okay, movement of ions occurs across the Henle loop into the interstitial fluid so as to maintain a hyperosmolar state of the interstitial fluid. This counter current multiplier, that's why it's called counter current multiplier. It is increasing the osmolarity. It is multiplying the osmolarity of the interstitial fluid. That's why hyperosmolar state. Okay, so counter current multiplier occurs in the Henle's loop. Once you reach or you attain that hyperosmolar state, that is maintained by a mechanism called counter current exchanger. So counter current exchanger is just a maintaining mechanism. This is done by the chief blood vessel in the kidney, which is called the vasa rectae. Got the concept? You have to just remember two things. For your entrance, you have to remember only two things. Where does counter current multiplier occur? Where does counter current exchanger occur? That's it. Only that will be asked to you. Why I am telling you all this is so that you don't have to by heart it. Now you should have a brief idea as to what is happening. If you know what is happening in that area, then you will know which step is occurring. So if something has to be hyperosmolarity has to be increased, means from the tubular structure next to it, ions have to shift into it, isn't it? If this area has to become hyperosmolar, ions from here have to shift into this. Correct? So that is called counter current multiplier. That is done by the Henle's loop. Counter current exchanger is just a maintenance phase. That means it will maintain that hyperosmolar state. That is done by the vasa rectae. Okay, this much is clear. Counter current multiplier, counter current exchanger. Now certain components of the tubular part you have to remember. Okay, Bowman's capsule, the glomerular filtration rate is the same as that of plasma. The osmolarity of the Bowman's capsule is same as that of the plasma. See, majority of sodium, chloride, glucose absorption takes place in the PCT. I told you, no? All the high threshold substances will be absorbed in the PCT. Important. This has been asked many times. They have asked it in different ways. They'll ask glucose is absorbed where? Then they have asked sodium is absorbed where? So all these high threshold substances will be taken up in the PCT. Then you have the thick descending segment where water is reabsorbed and the fluid becomes hypertonic. Okay. Then more water reabsorption occurs in the thin descending loop. As you move towards the ascending loop, sodium and chloride diffuses out. See this? See this? Are you able to identify this? Here sodium and chloride got absorbed. Here it got diffused out. If it gets diffused out, where is it going? It will go into the interstitial fluid, isn't it? Loop of Henle, this area in the thin descending loop, there is sodium and chloride absorption and water reabsorption. Here it gets diffused out. So eventually what happens? This area becomes hyperosmolar. That's exactly your counter current multiplier. Yes, are you able to put things together? Okay, so then you have sodium and chloride diffusing on. Most important thing you have to remember here is thick ascending segment of the PCT and the DCT are impermeable to water. Impermeable to water. So once water reaches the thick ascending segment of the PCT, thick ascending segment of the loop of Henle or the DCT, that water is going to be excreted. That will not be reabsorbed again. It is impermeable to water. Okay, as a result of which the end urine that is excreted out is hypotonic. Hypotonic. So see the difference. When it was filtered, it was isotonic. Tonicity was same as that of plasma, isn't it? Then it became hypertonic because of concentration. Then it became hypotonic. Eventually the urine which is excreted is hypotonic. Please remember, this has been asked. Urine excreted in the final excretion stage, urine is hypotonic.